Cold and dreary night in more ways than one as the Astros have lost Game 7 of the World Series. Here with former Major League scout Jeremy Booth and all of you here on all of our various digital platforms. Jeremy, there is so much to say about this one. I think bullpen management, the way A.J. Hinch used his bullpen after Zack Greinke left, should I just say, Jeremy, go? Because Will Harris, he was great so much this season, but you texted me last night and said, why are they using Will Harris? And this is the reason why you said don't use Will Harris the night before Game 7.
Yeah, what happened tonight was set up by last night. And you know, you have one of your best relievers in Will Harris, but you remember you came home with having to win one and having two shots to do that. You were trailing last night when Will Harris comes in the game. You don't need to go get him there. If you're going to need him tonight, you need to keep him fresh for whatever role that's going to be, whatever time he's going to throw. And if he's not going to, if you throw him last night, you don't bring him back tonight. This guy's taking the ball seemingly every game throughout the postseason. At some point, you don't want him running out of gas right now. And I'm not saying that's what happened. What I'm saying is back to back days, regardless of what the script may say, which is doubly frustrating when you talk about it never goes as planned, right? Before the game, it never goes as planned. It's doubly frustrating to see a script that has to be designed upstairs take over what baseball field dictates you should do. If you use Will Harris last night and you don't use him tonight, you have the best pitcher on planet Earth in Garrett Cole in the bullpen who was ready to go. You have saving for the ninth inning doesn't make any sense to me, should that be what they're actually doing. You have Jose Urquidy, who threw 67 pitches the other night and announced his presence in the World Series, no less, and surprised everybody who was ready to go, who comes in 2 innings too late. Why you go take Greinke out, which is another topic entirely, but continuing with this, to get to Will Harris, baffles me. You gave the game away last night by repeating that same mistake tonight. And unfortunately now, there's 25 players in there and a city of people who are heartbroken because we went with what a statistical probability should be instead of what the game dictated at that moment.
Well, I can tell you this, lots of Astros fans here, very proud of this team. Charlene, Rebecca, Patricia, Sheila, Remy, Charles, everybody saying, listen, don't be too hard on these guys. The Astros were amazing. They had a tremendous season. There's always next year. Basically, when we talk about this management, we talk about a script.
Yeah.
Essentially what happens when you have analytics involved heavily is that you, I don't want to say have a predetermined way on how you're going to approach a game, but that's kind of the way it goes, right? You have a predetermined system or order of pitchers that you'll likely throw. A.J. Hinch just moments ago said that he was going to save Garrett Cole for a ninth inning with the lead or a chance to take the lead. And that's why you did not see Garrett Cole earlier in this game. Did I summarize that well, that basically you have an order predetermined, a script that how you see the game is going to go, and it looks like they really didn't deviate from that script?
Let me back up. Nobody should ever be hard on the Houston Astros of 2019. Certainly not the players in that clubhouse. They are champions, all of them. They were very close to becoming world champions, and they had a great season. It doesn't feel right to them right now because they played all year to get here. But they had a great season, individually and collectively. And in the coming days, they'll pick themselves up, and they'll be better for it. To what you said, analytic game management is based on probability. That's the simplest way to put it. There's a lot more that goes into that at times, but it's based on probability. And in some cases, you know, that can be good. It can be helpful. And when clubs and teams and scouts have been using stats forever to help them make decisions on lineups and matchups and how they're going to do things. But when you have a script, and if we just give AJ the benefit of the doubt, and we say, okay, you're going to go with Cole in the ninth inning, where was Jose Urquidy for me? Again, if your Harris is your guy, you don't need to throw him last night.
Especially when you were losing.
If you're losing, if you do throw him last night, then you don't need to use him today. You have to, and Will Harris is never going to tell you, hey, AJ, man, I can't go. Like, he's not going to do that. You have to know and have the autonomy to go ahead and say, I'm going to go get Jose Urquidy or Garrett Cole, whatever the situation may be. Now, let's back it up to Zack Greinke for a second. 80 pitches when they pulled him. 6 1/3. It's a great night for him. but he wasn't done. That pitch to Soto was a borderline strike call. Could be called a strike. It went the other way. He has a right-hand hitter on deck. Soto was his last hitter of the night. He then pitches around Soto to get to the right-hander and have somebody on base to create a force out. That's baseball. You don't automatically have to go pull him. He showed no signs of tiring, showed no signs of fatigue, no signs of loss of command. He wasn't missing. He just systematically pitched around the hitter, a dangerous hitter, by the way, who got him again later in the game with a two-run single, right? To go ahead, that's baseball. Greinke was using his baseball mind. And I feel for the players in that clubhouse because that script was decided above them, and they had to follow it. Now, look, they won't tell you that. They won't tell you that. Okay?
Jeremy will tell you that.
I will absolutely tell you that. They won't tell you that, but I will tell you that. And it does not take away from the team. It does not take away from the players. There's superstars in that clubhouse. There's excellent character people in that clubhouse. And we all feel for the Houston Astros players, and AJ does as well, who did a phenomenal job to the last 2 games of the year.
A lot of people here checking in. Certainly, it's not all about one aspect. Right. This team had really big issues with runners in scoring position. And that certainly will also be part of the story in this final chapter of the 2019 season, that they could not knock in guys who were on second and third. Of course, in the postseason, you're facing some of the best pitchers from the best teams, so it's not that easy. Is there equal amounts of blame to go around when it comes to runners on scoring position and bullpen management, or will you go one way or the other when it comes to the big picture of what happened in this Game 7 specifically?
Well, you win in Major League Baseball with pitching and defense and what we call profile bats, and that means guys that can produce runs at whatever position that's at. And you win in the postseason, you win with pitching and defense, and then situational hitting and execution and things that go with that in the postseason. Yeah, they left, enough people on base to fill the city of Houston. I mean, they did.
Times 2, maybe.
Yeah, in the season or in the postseason, and that's not a comfortable feeling. And I promise you, they're replaying at bats in their head. But let's stop for a minute. Let's give the guys on the other side of the diamond who won the championship some credit. You got Max Scherzer. You've got Steven Strasburg. You've got Patrick Corbin. You've got Anibal Sanchez. You've got Daniel Hudson. You've got Doolittle. I mean, we can keep going, right? These guys have stuff to get soft contact and get swings and misses, and they're paid. That's why they're the world champions, or even if they didn't win the World Series or in this position right now, they're paid to get outs in those situations. So you can't kind of in the postseason put that on the hitters. The Astros put themselves in positions to succeed. Sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't. And we talked before the series, it was the entire postseason. If you have a 7-game series and you have 2 teams that are equally matched, 2 games are yours, 2 games are theirs, the other 3 are up for grabs, and that's what happened. How you want to lose those 2 out of the last 3 is stuff with bullpen management. It's stuff with, hitting with runners in scoring position, but this is really, you can point to the Astros playing behind one night and using a guy that should have been the next day. And again, even if they make that choice, playing ahead the next day and not protecting that lead right.
All right, Jason Bristol, former Major League scout Jeremy Booth. Edward checking in saying, what you are saying, Jeremy, is how I saw it. Mario says, this guy speaks the truth, respect to you. Cindy is checking in. We've got Dorothy, James. James says they never tried to steal a base. Lisi says bullpen management. I think it shows the character of Houston fans. Most of the people that I'm scrolling through their comments, most of them are saying, listen, what a great season we have, and we're going to stick with these Astros through thick and thin. But I'm actually surprised. I thought there'd be a little more disappointment, not necessarily anger, but I thought there'd be a little bit more because this game seemed to be in the bag, right? And then they score 6 runs in the final 3 innings.
Well, I came to you in the 6th inning? You and Matt and we talked.
Matt Musial.
And I said, this game should be over. That's what I said. I said it. It should be over. And if you go get Urquidy or Cole, probably turns out different. I'm just saying it does. And, around baseball, people are communicating, and they're texting and they're talking, and they're feeling for the players in the Astros clubhouse. And guys, Houston's a great city, and it's made its name on the national landscape now from a baseball standpoint with the way that the fans have carried themselves and the way that the players have carried themselves. But it's good. It's nice to see that there's a lot of love for the players in there. It's nice to see there's a lot of support. because you don't want to. Most people don't get to play in a World Series, and to get here and lose one is just absolutely heartbreaking. But that's how this went down. It does come down in a 107-game win regular season. It does come down in a 5-game series, in a 6-game series, and a 7-game World Series. It does come down to the last 9 innings to 4 innings last night and 4 innings tonight. That's what it comes down to, and that's how you can win and lose those type of championships. And let's hope you get another shot at it, because they got some questions to answer after this year.
And the harsh reality is, in a series where you have home field advantage and you don't win a home game, that is a big problem. In some ways, you could say they perhaps did not deserve to win a series when you don't win a home game. Now, granted, if they had won this one, all those questions would have been erased. But it's awfully tough. I mean, that's why you play, to get the home field advantage. And in this series, neither team played to their strengths at home.
Well, that's unprecedented. That's never happened before. Yeah. I mean, it's never been a series in any sport where a home team hasn't won a game. And that's what happened here. What I can say, I take that back, 7-game series in any sport where home team hasn't won a game. What I can say is that they were in position to win and they didn't. That I can say. It's going to be hard to beat the Washington Nationals, or if it was reversed, the Houston Astros 4 games in a row. That's going to be hard.
Yeah.
But the way we felt about last night and the way they were lined up tonight, we talked repeatedly about how their pitching could set up to help them win the game. It was set up that way. On the post game, Jason, you even said Greinke would give him 6. That's a good night. I said 5.
Before the
pregame. You said 6. I said 5. Right. So you got your 6 innings. Even if that's what you do and you go get him while he's feeling good, there's 3 more innings to close out, and you have a million other options than what you went to. How we go to Harris, again, regardless of what he's done all year, knowing he pitched last night, Joe Smith, before we finally get to Urquidy and Presley, who's 75%. Again, credit to Ryan Presley, who will never say that. What are we doing going to Ryan Presley in that situation? No pitcher is going to not take the ball with a World Series title on the line. And so now you turn around and you got your 3 weakest guys in that moment, although Harris can be debatable, and you're not throwing Cole or Urquidy, and then you get to Osuna, who gets whacked around at that point, and now we go get to Urquidy. Doesn't make any sense at all, and unfortunately cost the championship, and that's how the game was lost.
Henry says, hey, don't go trashing the Astros. They just had a flat tire tonight and no spare pitchers. It was weak hitting too many runners left on base. Nationals were better than we thought. They won the World Series. We're not trashing the Astros. We're just providing analysis on what happened and why this happened tonight. And essentially what you're talking about, those were some of the issues that led to this loss, and really a game that, it's funny because you had texted me. Let me back up a second. Before tonight, I went and looked at all the Astros after the last Game 7 of the 2017 World Series.
Yep.
And I went back and I listened to what those guys had to say after winning the World Series. Yep. And there were 3 things that really stood out to me. One was George Springer, after that win against the Dodgers, said getting out early, scoring early, and putting the Dodgers on their heels was a big reason why we won tonight. And we checked that box, right? Tonight, checked that box because the Astros pulled ahead. Number 2, A.J. Hinch said, the script you have ultimately changes and you have to change your script.
Great point.
And I don't think he did that tonight. I think he had a script in mind, and I think he was married to that script, and I think that ultimately, in some ways, that's what did this team in tonight.
Well, that's exactly what did it in. And, look, being given honest and open analysis of decisions doesn't mean you're trashing the players in the clubhouse. It doesn't mean that there aren't other aspects of the game that people improve. Let's be clear again, 107 wins in the regular season and made it to the last inning of the World Series in 7th game. It's a good team. There are decisions that were made above the people on the field that dictated how this went. No one's going to be 100% every day, and you have to know your personnel and be able to deviate from that. AJ said, and you couldn't have said it better. You just talked about it right now, that your plan's never going to go the way you think it is. It's going to change. Well, that means that if Greinke, who may not have been, thought was going to give you 6 or 7, gives you 6 1/3, maybe you give me an extra hitter, maybe you don't, but then you go get Urquidy or Cole or somebody else. You don't have to go back to the page and go to Will Harris.
just wanted to talk. Jed is saying crazy conspiracy on YouTube that this was all scripted, LOL. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is not that the game is scripted and how it's played. What it is the management of how the order of who throws when and during what situations. Basically, the analytics department will sit down and they will say, listen, these are the numbers, and you can describe it a little better than I can, but basically, this is the order for the situations that may come into the game, and this is the order of pitchers that perhaps would be, the numbers tell you will fare best in that situation.
Yeah, and it's also about who does what in what inning, and who does what in what count, and who does what in what situation. I mean, it gets pretty deep. At the end of the day, there were 3 innings left to get. There was 7, 8, and 9 with the lead. You have Urquidy and Cole available, even if you use Osuna later. Those 2 guys couldn't get 3 innings between them. I got a hard time believing that, and if they do that, then we're not having this conversation. Maybe it's the Astros on the stage. As it was, we'll never get the opportunity to find out. So, you know, congratulations to them on a great season, but we're still talking about a World Series championship, and if we're going to break down why it didn't go their way tonight, that's why.
There was one funny comment on here that now Joe Buck and and Soto can go get married.
Wow. He's 21. Soto is 21.
Yeah, is he 21? I think he hit a homer as a 20-year-old and a 21-year-old in the World Series.
Confirmed he's 21.
Shonda says, great series, be happy. We have a, okay. Be happy we have a consistent team that shows up and performs. Only thing I can hope is Soto becomes more humble with his with age for his gifted talent and gift for the game. Hey, listen, you're exactly correct there. Let's see. Astros are amazing, so much fun to watch. No doubt, no doubt. Let's see, what else? We have a comment, don't worry, next year we will get them. Let's dive into next year real quickly. Basically, the same crew is back, but every team has a window, right? The window is open right now, and this was perhaps the best shot at another championship, this team, the best Astros team ever assembled. However, they are now losing Garrett Cole potentially to free agency.
Yeah.
If you had to peg their chances right now of getting back to this point, right now, knowing what you know, would you put it at, would it still be one of the best shots in baseball, best percentages, you think?
Well, I mean, as it stands today in the AL West, starting there, they still got to be the favorite with who they have coming back. I mean, keep in mind, Springer's back, Correa's back, Altuve's back, Bregman's back, Alvarez is back. They'll probably re-sign Chirinos. They'll re-sign Maldonado if they can. I mean, I'd imagine they'll do something behind the plate. Verlander's going to be here. Greinke's going to be here. So, yeah, I mean, they got a pretty solid core to win the West and to get back to the postseason as it stands today. When we're talking about World Series championships and not being competitive, you're going to have to answer some questions in the rotation. You know, Colin McHugh does a good job as a reliever. You've got Wade Miley, who tires down the stretch in September. You've got Brad Peacock, who is a vital part of this in versatility in multiple roles. So they got some questions they have to answer. The real questions don't really come in 20. They come at the end of 20. So some of those decisions will no doubt be made with an eye on 21 and beyond. But for right now, as it stands today, they sit as the favorite for me in the West, and then we'll see what they do after that for how it shapes up for the AL.
All right, everybody, we've been about 20 minutes in. We have to go back inside to continue our coverage. And a big thank you, right? A big thank you to everybody who has been with us after every single game, before the games, to chime in, give us their thoughts on baseball and the Astros. And it really has been a pleasure talking to all of them and then seeing them at the ballpark.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a lot of fun for us. It's been a lot of fun interacting with you and seeing your comments and seeing some of you guys around the ballpark and in the street and sometime in the gym. It's been a lot of fun. So, appreciate you guys tuning in.
And don't forget, Jeremy and I have our own podcast. It's called Extra Bases with Bristol and Booth. It's available wherever you get your stuff. We'll probably pick that up again pretty soon.
Sure.
So definitely check out Jeremy and I on iTunes, Podbean, all the different places. For Lisa and Derek holding the camera, Sergio, who was holding the camera before. Appreciate, again, all of you guys checking in after each game. And That's it. That's it for the 2019 season, as the Washington Nationals are the champions of Major League Baseball. For Jeremy Booth, the former Major League scout, I'm Jason Bristol, and the rest of us here at KHOE 11. We'll talk to you later.